What's going on, people? It's What's Out Media. Today, we got the Silvertone Interview. I'm so excited to have you on for today. How are you doing today, my brother?
I'm good. Just coming off of a good show last night, a little homecoming show. I was gone for about 5 months with Joshua, so we're able to play in front of all my friends and back in the hometown. So it was a good show last night.
So,
Excited.
you say you're Pomona? How do you say that?
Pomona, California.
Nice. So, are you originally from there?
No, I was born in East LA. My family kind of moved around a little bit in the LA area, and then like right around junior high, I moved up to the high desert, which is like a completely different world. And then after that, I made my way back to the city life.
Very dope. Very dope. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about that event last night. Like, what was the best things about it?
Just being able to play like in front of our friends and people that haven't like really gotten a chance to experience what we did on stage. They've been listening to us for about 5 or 6 months now, so for them to like really kind of get that experience, like for the first time, I was excited to see their faces and able just just feeling it.
Very dope. Very dope.
The vibe was just crazy. It was really dope.
So let's bring it back to back in the day. You said from the LA area, the East Side, right?
Yeah.
What got you into music? Like, how'd you get into music?
When I had moved up to the high desert, I started playing the flute at a young age.
I played the clarinet.
Yeah, just like a band nerd, like throughout high school, and then I picked up guitar on the way, drums on the way, and then after high school, actually in the middle of high school, my brother-in-law, Chris Garcia, he's really good friends with Adrian Young. Adrian Young, project producer, he's like in Ghost Stories. He was with Orange Like Easy right now, doing Jazz Band. But on those early days, I was in a band with my brother-in-law, and Adrian came out, and he was like, "Man, you guys are dope. You guys can help me, get on this project. I'm doing a soundtrack for a movie called Black Dynamite." And I was like 17, 18. And we never looked back at that time.
Very dope. Very dope.
Well, I'm lit up now because I heard Black Dynamite. Can we hear about that?
Yeah, we took it to Sundance. They got a lot of acclaim, and then eventually got picked up by Sony, and they've been released in the theaters. But we toured as like Dynamite Sound Orchestra. It was like a project we band that we put together for the music, for the soundtrack. We really never looked back at that point. We started working with a lot of different artists, because Adrian started producing a lot of different artists. So it just went into like a hip hop sound. This is something about April. I played on that album. And 2 tracks got picked up off that album on Jay-Z's Magna Carta. And
Very dope. Very dope. How would you explain your style of music to someone new?
I mean, since I played with Adrian for a long time, I'm kind of in that same realm. I pretty much grew up with him. That sound very much like my sound. I've adopted it just because I've been around for so long. But I also bring like that soul, like that R&B aspect to it. Really trying to go like that Chicano sound that like what's being produced right now in this area. So it's just a mixture between like the Chicano sound, like Malo Santana, and then you got like Brent Wood, but you also have like Paul Hampton, yeah, it's just all around eclectic like sound, but a very different sound. Like horns, deep card, guitar, all around. It's just coming out like a lot of different angles, but eclectically, it's like a really nice soulful, gentle sound.
That's so dope. That's so dope to hear. How does culture play into your music?
Well, I have a lot of songs that are like really like driven like in the Chicano history. I have songs that are like very much so just to be like proud of being Mexican brown. I have a song called Brown Skin. That song's just related about just being comfortable in your skin. Growing up living in East LA for a little bit, and then moving up to the high desert. I was around a lot of Chicano Mexicans, and then having to move to the high desert where it's just like, a lot of just, you're just white, there's a lot of white people, and they were set in their ways for a long time, and they looked at you differently, looked at me differently. And so I was just drawing from that aspect, and that experience, like that they don't look at you the same, but it's okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not fair, but also like we don't choose like what skin we're going to be born in. So, we just have to take it with a grain of salt and just make us stronger. Like as a community, stick together, make sure that we're making like good decisions, like that we're in a good light, and just helping each other, bring each other up in the community. So
I feel that. I feel that. So moving up there, like, what were some of the changes, like, for yourself personally, like moving, it sounds super drastic. You know what I'm saying? From one area to the other. Like, what was that like for you?
I mean, it was drastic. It was like coming from a place where you could just go out and just hang out with your friends and be gone. Like, in the summertime, you can be gone until the sun comes down, to living in a neighborhood where you don't have a lot of houses around you. Some of the you got dirt roads. It's
Yeah.
completely different. So I was able to take like learning music and just really grasp that aspect of music, and it was able to just get lost in it and learn, and that was like really like helped me get through a lot of just the move, was to pick up music, and I just dove in. I never looked back, just,
So in a way, it's a blessing and a curse, right?
yeah.
Different, but now you got the grind on the music side, and I mean, it's paid off, right? Dividends, right, on that end. So very dope.
Yes, very much so, very much so.
Yeah, I'm hearing like most artists, use whatever you're going through, whether negative or positive, to make it into your works. I'm curious, what produces the most amount of content when, like, is it the negative side, is it the positive side? Is it something that new you experience? What really helps your producer flow going?
Me, it's I just like to jump into like the perspective of like of a user, like a person. I draw from all the experiences. I don't necessarily take from my experiences, but I do also like to just look through the eyes of whoever it is I'm working with, or um, what project I want to like portray, or message that I want to say. Um, and I do come back to like some personal experiences, but it's not necessarily my experiences per se. I have a song that's going to be coming out. It's a second single. It's called "Warning Signs." That song is about a breakup, but it was with my mom. My mom was going through a rough time with her husband, and I was looking at it through her perspective, saying, "You know what? You're a strong woman. Like, you don't need anybody to tell you what love is. Like, that love is yours." And so it might sound like I'm singing in first person, but I'm singing through her eyes, and also telling her the message: "Hey, you're strong. Like, you're independent. You don't need anybody." Um, yeah, so kind of leans both ways, where I take from personal and I take from just observing.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
I take it you're a very empathetic person.
Absolutely. Maybe too much, maybe too much. But I like to just give everybody a benefit. I think genuinely we're good people. Um, I think everybody should be treated that way. Like you say, you treat people with respect. You do unto others as you want to as yourself. So I very much so try to live that lifestyle. Treat everybody equally.
Mm-hmm. So is there any specific goals you're looking for in terms of like how your music affects one person?
Not necessarily. Just the messages that I do write. I do have people come up and they're teary eyed, or and if I write something that it could help somebody go through a situation, it makes me feel good, and that it's a good message. Um, but in the aspect of like the culture and Chicano history, I want to make young kids, have a voice. They have they have a backing. It's not just it's not all bad, but it's all not good. So you got to take the good with the bad. I want that message for everybody to be, you know, just keep going. It's gonna get better. Just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this would be a perfect opportunity to teach people, those who are not, you know, people who just are ignorant or just don't know. Could you explain to like them, like Chicano, like culture, or like how would you describe that? How would you define that?
I mean, especially in Southern California, there's a little bit of a difference. Like my friends are mostly Mexican, so their families either from a pueblo or a city in Mexico. Um, I'm very much so from my mom and my grandma are from LA. Like they never left. My great great grandma is from Mexico, but that's like three generations of California.
Right.
And that's the difference. Like I don't speak Spanish. I know a lot of people that don't speak Spanish, but that's where like that Chicano comes in. Like we're have been here generations, and it's just we have a different culture. We're
Is
not
it a hybrid
necessarily.
culture, or would you say?
It's just integrated in Southern California. It's like a subculture that's always been here.
Yeah.
That's where like you get that cholo, you get the cholos, you get the lowriders.
Right.
I grew up in East LA, but it was just integrated into the culture. You
Okay.
know, we didn't have like the rancheros or la bandas or like you have like that Mexican culture. They had like the cowboy hats and the Stetsons and the belts and the pant, something like that. We had like
And the
the
belt
high
buckles.
socks. We
Yeah.
had the high socks and the lowriders and the what I mean, like the Cortez. Like
Yeah.
the white shirts and we always my uncles always made sure we were nice and pressed before we walked outside. But like it's a real deal. You got to iron your bandana, like that kind of shit. Like
I
so,
feel that.
it's very much a different world.
Word. Well, it's just great to, let people know, like people who aren't hip to it, right? Like, people might think like, when I was younger, I thought like, George Lopez. I always watched that show. That was my first like media, right? Or
Yeah.
even like outreach of like learning about that. So it was really great to hear it from you. I was gonna say, so what does the timeline look like for you, like, starting out like playing the flute all the way to producing, like, you talked a little bit about Black Dynamite, but like all the way up to now, like what has that looked like? Like you worked with so many different artists, like what has been some of your highlights, what have been lowlights, and like let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, the highlights were, being in the presence of artists that you really to, like, being in a room with RZA, being able to go fly New York and get ready for a show for South by Southwest with Ghostface, um, being on first name basis with Ali Shaheed, like these things are like, you know, I never thought that would happen in my life, and those weren't necessarily like my heroes growing up. I wasn't like a hip hop head. Like I was like very much like listen to like Black Sabbath and the Doors
Okay.
and Oasis and I was like an alternative kid like Nirvana and shit like that, Foo Fighters. But just living in the culture, like you have a like you listen to Tupac, you listen to Big, you listen to all these things and the importance of it. So meeting these people is so big and huge, and then that for them to take you into the ring and on a first name basis just be nice to you, and it just meant like the world. But at the very end of that journey, I stopped working with Adrian, and um, I started focusing on myself. I started focusing on projects that I wanted to do for myself. Um, and that was I wouldn't say it was a low, but it was a lull. And it took a few years to like kind of get back to the grind and figure out like my voice and my sound and just what I wanted to do as an artist, and just try to really figure it out.
But Adrian, do
But
you feel like you had more structure before, and then it was kind of like you didn't have structure after for a bit? Like, how was that?
I felt like I mean, it was, we had a goal. We had, everything was put together.
Yeah.
And you always have this vision in your head of what you want to do, but when somebody lets go of the kite and it just like the string starts unraveling, you're just like, okay, I have the idea. It's just kind of like it's going away from it. I don't know how to structure it. So just being able to pull it back in, like reel it back in, and really like just control it. Control it, because the music industry is really up and down, and you admire artists that can just keep going and going and producing and making and creating, and it's a real entangled art in itself to just keep going. So learning how to do that and having Adrian as a mentor and guiding me through the just, hey, you got it, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. It really does help. But that was a very much so a lull until it was during the pandemic where I just had this spark and the music just kind of came out of me. So now it was just finishing the project, and then start taking it down the road.
So we were talking about a little bit about your the highlights, right? Like getting to work with like RZA, Ghostface Killer. Like the crazy thing that I'm like picking up from you is you remained the same, right? Like you were still this like alternative, like kind of like guy, but like they accepted you, right? Like you didn't necessarily wasn't like hip hop head prior, or you knew him, right? Like because of the culture and everything, and you rocked with them. But it's crazy that they just brought you on in and didn't like expect you to be like something else. That they accepted you for who you were. It sounds like.
I think it's because, like, I mean, I just try to be as real as possible, and I just really don't fake the funk. Like that's, you're gonna get what you get. I think they just respected that. Like, hey, this kid, like, I'm Snoop, but that motherfucker don't give a shit like who I am. Like, you know, I'm there for the ride, man. Like I'm there for the experience. And like there was one experience where Snoop was like, or yeah, Snoop was like, hey man, like you remind me of my brother, bro. This is fucking crazy. Like you literally remind me of my brother. And like that was just like, what the hell? Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
But
they might it sounds like on that end they might appreciate that, right? Like you treating them as a person, and you
yeah,
get to work with them, and that's when you really could work well. You know what I'm saying? If you
oh
could
yeah,
put away those like walls or whatever
the,
people may put over there, right? If you could get rid of that and just work, then you get to work, and you know what I'm saying?
oh
It's
yeah.
for the love of music and stuff. It's just like it
Oh, trust
sounds.
me, I was nervous. Like, I was nervous as hell meeting these people, but I try to keep it as cool as I could.
Yeah.
There was a time where we were in the studio at Adrian, and everybody was kind of dressed up nice, and I'm like, why is everybody dressed up looking real nice? And Adrian's like, yo, I didn't tell you, but Riz is coming like to the studio. I was like, dude, really? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm in my freaking like sweats, bro. Like right now, bro, I'm wearing sweats, like sweats, and like I don't like try to do too much, like I am what I am, I let the music speak for itself, to be honest. So
So it
make the
should be.
message go. And yeah, I mean, I do like to dress up and shit like on stage, but that's like that comes with like being with Adrian like for so long. So just having that showmanship, like I'm a real firm believer of like just first and foremost, like I'm an entertainer, right? Like
Yeah.
my goal is like once I go on stage is to let people forget like that they're 9 to 5, like they took time to get off work, or maybe they called off work, or or they're going through something, an argument or a death or something, that for that hour that I'm playing, like my goal is to have them forget about it, right? So if I have to dress up a little bit or like kind of be a little bit different on stage and be hype, then so be it. But other than that, I'm the same guy, on and off stage. That's what you're gonna get. So
So I was gonna ask, and I mean, you kind of answered part of it just as like a role as an entertainer. What are some like key things that you learned from Adrian, just overall, like as like working with him for so long?
just the just the amount of grind that you have to have. The man is a genius, and he never stops working. He writes a song a day, starts at 4 a.m. You know, no one tells him to do that, but he does it. And that's one of the things that, like, of a goal that I'm working towards, is to be able to write a song a day, or be on your craft or instrument at least 3 hours a day, because it really does make you exponentially better, because not everybody is doing that grind. Like, he would always like have this thing, like, he was like, we're athletes, bro. Like, people are in the gym and they're
Reps.
perfecting their craft. They're sharpening their tools every day. And every second that you're not, they're getting better than you. So that's how I'm perceiving this thing now. Like, I have to just go and not stop. Keep going, keep going. Even the days that I have off, like, there's something that you could do to make yourself a little bit better, man, and sharpen your tool just a little bit more. So on that aspect, from that, I learned from him so much. And also, and like, just have just an ear for the sound, for the production, where you layer things, or where on a composition where the melody dictates where the song's going, or what instruments should do where at what time, or a lot of those things are overlooked in music, I feel, but it's precise with Adrian. It's an intent.
So do you feel that you adopt some of his style, like even in your own music?
I mean, I hear it. Like, there's moments like when we're live and it's just like we hit like a boom, 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 boom. So I'm just like,
That's it.
I didn't mean to do that. Like,
Yeah.
but it's just like I've known him for half my life, and I've worked with him. It's just like, it's just inherently there. Like, it's just now, it's just a part of like who I am and what what it does. And I talk to my wife too. I'm like, man, like, I don't want it to really sound like that. It's done and this and that. But she's like, yo, like, you were intricate part of that sound. So like, what do you expect your sound to be? Like,
Right.
and so it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. And I'm not one to copy. I don't like doing covers of songs. And I'm a very much so original, artist. So to feel like I'm copying something, or I'm like, I wasn't sure, but for her to tell me like, hey man, like, you actually had a big part of that sound, so it's okay.
Yeah, 'cause it sounds like, getting the reps in, it just naturally, like, I know you could translate this in a lot of different things, but if you got like a coach or you got something like that, naturally the things that you've learned or you've repped, it's gonna come into play when you're doing it on your own, and you're like, okay, I
Like,
saw that, I saw that.
that's
Yep,
second nature.
it's just second nature. So I mean, that's pretty dope. So yeah, what advice would you give to someone who makes that transition like that you made? Like, what advice would you give to somebody?
Honestly, like, just really look within, and like really like be sure and intent, like, of the sound that you want. That's the most important thing. That sound is intricate, and like what kind of artist you're going to be. Um, you absolutely need to have something that distinguishes you from everyone else. Um, and to really, really think about that intentionally, like, that's very, very important with any artist. Um, because we're everywhere, everyone's out there, and it's hard, to not copy, but you have to be able to distinguish yourself from it. So make sure you have like the absolute distinct sound, and if it feels a certain way, then just keep working on it, and don't release anything until it's you feel okay. This is me. Okay, cool. This is me.
So what's the process like focusing on your distinct sound? Is that just simply just grinding on your own music? Is that like talking to your peers and seeing and comparing and critiquing your music? What's that process like?
I think it's like well, me especially, it's like tonality, like, of instruments. So like, I want like the guitar to sound a certain way. Um, you could plug in a guitar and just play it, and then that's it. But that sounds like Nirvana, like, or you could put some heavy reverb on it, and then start sounding like having that like Motown, or like even like Marvin Gaye and stuff. Like, so you have to have like a very specific, you have to really work on like that. The drums. Like the drum, like to have like a certain tone of the drum, like the kick, like the snare is very important. Like how that snare sounds when it pops. Like the hi hat is very important. Everything, like literally everything, means something. Um, and that's something I learned from Adrian. That's something I learned from my brother-in-law Chris Garcia. We did a project called Star Killer. We helped we wrote and produced an album with an artist named Harley Blue from London. Um, and that was one of the things that we had in mind, like the sound, like make sure it's distinct. So um, it's just a unique sound, And we made sure that before we released it, like that's going to be it. We're different from everyone else. That has to be, a certain way. And that's how Portishead did it. That's a lot of artists are. A lot of artists that do dope shit. I feel, like they have that sound. They have their sound. You know.
Very dope. Very dope. Uh, Tell us how'd you meet up with Distro Lord? How do you know Distro?
I know him through when we were, doing travels with Ghost Race with Adrian. Yeah. Back in the day, man. Like this is, man, probably 2013, 14. We were out in New York a lot, and he would just be, he was executive producing the 12 Reasons to Die. So he was an A&R, so he was always just there, always around, always just a homie. Like, and now that I look back at it, I mean, I was young back then. I feel like he was like right around the same age, so I think he was the closest person to like relatable, even though he was like very much so like the hip hop dude, like he knows like everything about everything in hip hop. So like, but that was one of the people I could be like, hey, what's up, man? Like, have a chit chat with him or whatever. Or, everyone else was like, they're already like close to 30, and I was like 22, And I was like, just the young kids, like whatever, So very much close to age. But that was a long time ago, man. Yeah, that was a long time ago. It's a long relationship, but he's cool, man. He's always been good to me.
I feel that that's kind of cool to hear. I think Distro Lord is always really good at like he stays hip with the youth. I know that don't even sound like that don't even sound like a new term, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
He's always like reaching out, always being like always like he's a wealth of knowledge, honestly, and on a lot of different things, especially on the music side. So we were really grateful that he got you to come with us on a pod for
definitely.
today, man. We really do appreciate it. So let's talk some more about it. Like, what are some of your future goals? Like, what do you want to do in music? And like, what do you have any like more performances? Like, what are your plans?
Yeah, so right now I have a single out on Spotify. We don't have to. We're going to be releasing a second single on Mango Hill Records, based out of Miami, and then we're going to be releasing our full LP within this year. The project's already been recorded. It's all analog, recorded to tape. The sound is just nice and crispy, nice and fat and warm. And then I'm already working on the second project. I'm already working on a second album. We're already 5 songs in. So on that aspect with Adrian, like just the grind, just keep writing. My goal is to just build a catalog that's exponentially, like just exponential, right? It's like I could just pick from whatever and just be like boom, plug in, like. So I'm going to be working with an artist and producing her. I can't mention it right now, but that like is one of those things where it's like a plug and play. I have a lot of songs now, so I can just check this out. My have your Rolodex,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
just go, because you never know, you know and also like I just don't write like that soul Chicano soul. Like I have a lot of different like styles that I write. Whatever I write just because I like to write it. Like I don't limit myself on a sound. Like I don't care, whatever comes out of me, that's what's coming out. So just to have like a vast catalog of music, that's the goal for me. And then eventually, we'll see down the line. Eventually, opening up I do want to have a venue of my own, like a music venue of my own, to
Pretty dope.
showcase bands, and just do it like do them right, do the artists right. So, you know, maybe like a live recording studio with like a venue or something for them to have like they can, you know, we can record them live or whatever, put it out, you know, and like Silvertone Records or something. Like it's just like a far goal, you know, but
Yeah.
it's definitely like doable. Like it's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Very dope. Very dope. Tell me a little bit about how it was building the team. You got a team with you. How was that? How did that
Man,
work?
I I intentionally like executed, like I went into every single, like, so like my drummer, I have Charlie Morales, dude. Like he's been like a local guy, like drummer that like had like the craziest steez, like style is just off the fucking chain. Like he just wears like all these like dope ass like vintage suits always. He never dresses like normal. Like he literally, like, I think his pajamas are vintage, like, swear to God. Like he's always on point. I've never seen him not on point. And I just liked his style. Like, and for 2 years, I like was like kind of vetting him. And then we were at a bar and I saw him and I'm like, hey man, like, you want to play drums? You know, what are you doing this weekend? And then I just got him on the track. Like, we just recorded him on the track. But that's how it was for all the guys that I have in the band. Like I looked at them like for a long time, making sure like that's, you know, what I wanted. And then when it was time, like I just approached everyone like with like, hopefully you say yes, because I don't know another one. Like, and everyone was down. Everyone was down. So that's the good thing. And it was like we were like kind of like in the same realm of like artists, and we knew each other in the area, but I didn't know if we were gonna click, you know, like.
Yeah.
And with this project, we've only been working on it for 6 months live, but man, it's just like one of those things where the growth is so fast, and but we have control. Everybody is like level headed, which that's the one thing I like the most. Like, there's no egos. We're all very much equal. In the second album, we're kind of like venturing on like the writing style. Like, okay, like, you know, I know Shuo, my keyboard player. I know you can write some songs, bro. Like, what do you got like on the table? So it's
Yeah.
like becoming like not just a me, but it's very much so becoming like an us project now. Like we are like becoming like this just band. Like when you just hear a band, like it's like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like, dude, like it's the whole damn package. Like we have horns, you know, keys, drums. Like, so we're just like the second we hit a note, it's just like in your face sound, wall sound. And yeah, so to just see where it's gonna go, I don't know, but the group of guys I have right now is incredible. We just got this energy live on stage. We're just having fun. That's, you could tell we're just relaxed and we're having fun, and
Yeah. I
it's
was gonna say.
translating.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's a goofy analogy, but it kind of reminds me of street ball, right? You got like basketball. You got the organized, right? But it sounds like you guys are gelling together live, right? Like, and,
Yeah,
and kind of figuring things out live. I think that's the coolest thing. So,
yeah.
that's badass. That's
Yeah,
badass.
because we have like we have, you know, we have artists around the area, the Altons, the Sinceres, the Sacred Souls. Those are all like very much close homies. Brain Story, you know, we have Joey Quiones, you know, Jason Joshua. All these guys are like, we're all been around each other, um, but like we're taking it in like we talked, and I tell these guys like our sound, like I want it to be like street soul. Like we're coming from the streets. Like we are not like your refined street or soul sound. We're
Yeah.
like that skater kid that, like, you know, had plugs like 15 years ago that like I fuck with the, you know, with the organ, the B3. You know, I got a Leslie now. Like, check this shit out. You know, like, so like a punk sound, you know, soul sound. Like
Funk
it's just
soul for real.
all, yeah, man. It's like that's what we're just trying to like do, like that. To coin that term, like street soul, like, because like very much what it is. Like we're all from that, like that area. You know, like we all come from, you know, from the streets pretty much. You know, we're all street kids, dude. So a lot of these guys that I have in the band, they're all like, you know, previous skater kids. You know, like the punk kids or gutter punk kids. Like, but you know, I come like from the background of like the hip hop, and I didn't even like. I didn't even expect that to happen. So like that, like mixture between that and that, just, you know, that now it's just like this entity is like being, it's like an experience. Like,
You
uh,
know, it's natural. I think punk, skaters, street, hip hop. I think it always ends up coming together. you
It
see
really
like
does.
old pictures of like Kurt Cobain, right, with like Tupac. People think it's Photoshop. It's real. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, man. So to be able to get like really a goal would be like to have like a lot of the songs that we have, they're like real sample heavy. Like, so there's spots on the key moments in these songs that can really get like some like hip hop artists on them. So like that would be super sick. Like to have like a like even like the Ghostface or anyone, man. Really, to be honest, like just get on that. It would fit. It's there, like it's just to take that to the next, to take that the aspect of our sound to that. Um, would really open up, I think, like that genre. Is it just not? The sound's not there, dude. What we're doing, like that sounds not. It's not in music right now. It's just not. So
Yeah, and I was going to ask a reflective question, right? Because it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Yeah, there's still a lot more areas to grow in it, and it sounds like you're like a pioneer on a new version of it. You want to talk anything about that? Like any inspirations on the hip hop side, or anything on the hip hop side of like it being 50 years? Like people think that 50 years is not a lot of time, honestly.
yeah,
So that's
50 years
pretty
is like
crazy.
one person, right?
Yeah, it's one person, right? So
It's like
like
one
Not
person.
even.
it's middle aged, right? Like it's
Yeah.
a middle aged person. So it's like we're still very young. You got anything you want to say about just hip hop in general?
I mean, just like you see, like what, like the in Europe, like what London and them are doing, like with hip hop, is like completely different from what's happening on the East Coast and West Coast of the states. Like, and it's like to me, like hip hop is like the big leagues. Like that's very much like it's like your top tier music. Like that's driving the industry. Um, and they really do call like a lot of the shots on fashion and everything. Really, they drive a lot of that stuff. Um, but I do think that if they did integrate like a lot of more of that street sound. I mean, the skater kids really listen to hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, but they also do listen to like metal. They also do listen to punk. Like, it would be it would do dividends for those guys, like those street kids, to see like, oh, look at they're fucking with this kind of stuff. Like, that's crazy. Like, all right, like the hip hop has no boundary really. But especially if like you sample it correctly, like you could do whatever. You could do whatever, and there's artists that are doing that. So um, it'd be exciting to see how hip hop will be in the next 50 years. I don't know, I don't know how that looks, but from now until when it started to now, I mean that's incredible.
And for
Oh, I don't
you,
have one, man. I'm sorry. Hey, man, have a good one.
and for you, what would be your favorite era of hip hop?
I mean, I think everyone wants me to say the golden era, right? Like, but I mean,
Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm not asking the people. I'm
I
asking you.
I loved like 2002, like 50 Cent.
Uh-huh.
Like that was like, yeah, like many men wish death upon me. Like that. It's just like
That's my
that
song.
shit's
Yeah, that's
so
my
hit. It's
song.
like or like early Kanye, like graduation, like
Hmm.
that shit's like it's embedded in my. I like know every single lyric for that song. Like it was. I was actually going out the other day with my keyboard player Chuo, and we're just like literally like a play and ride. Like you just press play, and we just drove like 40 minutes and just listened to the whole thing. Like we did not skip, and yeah, those that kind of hip hop is really. I like that shit like a lot. I do listen to like like the older stuff, but that stuff for me that was because I was like in high school right there. Like so that's like me just being like a stupid kid, like listening to
Hmm.
that stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm into right there. That 50 Cent, so that was the banger.
I feel like a lot of people are so worried about what is the critically best decade of hip hop, and like I feel like it's always just like what were you listening to high school? Like what
Right,
were you
like
listening to in high school? That's like your favorite right there.
yeah, I mean, because like in '92 I was 7, so it's like I wasn't listening to like anything NWA. Like it wasn't like
Yeah.
I mean I was listening to Bump Thugs, like Twista, like the old stuff, like but I mean that's like I was like 9, like and I got it, but I didn't really get what they're saying. Like
Hmm.
and like and now in high school it was like oh, like, damn, they tried to kill this guy, like, shit. And he's like telling you, like, you didn't get me, fuck you. Like, okay, cool. I like that. So that was like, that was like on that like rock and roll stuff. Like, it was like, damn, this guy's like, he don't care, like, that's what I started really thinking like that. Like, the new rock star, like the new Mick Jagger is like 50 Cent. Like, that's the new rock star. Like, the new rock star is like hip hop. Like, and that's dope to see that, It'd be
Yeah.
dope to see like an actual rock star come in, but I don't know. You got to top, like, the top dog right now. You got to be better than Kendrick Lamar or something, like, can you do that?
Else,
In rock music, I don't know, dude. You better fucking bring some like Parliament Funkadelic or something, like, aspect to it, or I don't
You had
know.
to rip it for real to
You
be
got to
on that
rip.
level. Yeah, you'd have
You
to
got to
go
rip.
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, who's up to that challenge, man?
Yeah, I'm up
Hey,
to
it's
that
a
challenge. But you
challenge
know
though.
what?
Hey, put it out there though. It's a challenge. A
Yeah,
challenge is
it
good to
really
be out
is.
there.
Yeah, it really is. You see, like, like now, like, you got like those retro '90s kids like coming back, like, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in hip hop, dude. To be honest, yeah, see what they're into. I don't know, but just trying to keep my sound street soul. So hopefully the kids jig it.
So we usually use this Silvertone. This is like one of our OG questions. But if you saw yourself in high school, you know, you're a band guy, right? Or you listen to 50 Cent, whatever. What advice would you give him today, like at that time?
I'll be like, hey man, you better learn music theory right now. Don't wait. I always thought that was like the impossible thing to do, but it took a long time to learn. I wish I would have learned it when I was a young kid. I took it for granted because I was always really good at music, and I was like, I'll learn it, I'll figure it out. But that knowing like the intricacies of chords and progressions just opens up everything, the whole world to music. And then also, like, I was going through a lot of struggle around that time, so it was like, hey man, like, your life is going to be crazy in 10 years, so just keep going. Yeah. So
Very dope. Very dope. What advice would you give to just artists in general, people who want to start their own band, people who want to like they're looking for mentors? Well, what advice would you give to like a younger musician?
stay fresh, don't copy anyone, and stay original to you. Make sure that that sound that you're doing is you, and don't be afraid to express yourself any way possible. Don't change your sound for anybody. Don't worry about what any people think. Just do it for you. That's it. Just do it for you.
And then in terms of the music industry, Distro always gives out great advice. When we talk about the music industry, what advice would you give just from your experiences of being in the music industry?
That it's not easy, but if you don't give up and you just keep going, um, people fall off. So you're just next in line. So just keep going. Don't think of it as impossible. It's very much possible, very much plausible. You just got to keep pushing, keep grinding. Because the second you give up, that might have been your moment.
Is that philosophy what kept you going when you didn't have the motivation, or what was
Absolutely,
yeah?
absolutely. It still does now. I was lucky enough to have like a one chance at it. When I was in my 20s, and then to step away from it a little bit, and then sometimes people don't get any chances in it, and I had one, and now I'm having two. So it's like this has to be it. No one gets some. Like I said, some people don't even get one chance. So that's my like reminder. Just
It
keep going.
reminds me of that like cartoon of like the people digging for diamonds and the person's walking away right before they hit it. Another
And it's all
person,
right there.
right? Yeah, and it's
Mm.
all right there. Another person's still grinding it out. So that's very dope. So we were talking about like you're working on your EP. It's recorded, and we talked about a music venue and stuff like that. Where did that vision come from, just in general? Like where did those ideas, these goals come from?
I guess I just always had them. I mean, you listen to a lot of different artists, like back in the days, like from Motown days and 60s, 70s, and they all had their studio. They all had like their, and even now, like a lot of artists have their own studios, but um, not everybody had their own venue, you know, a showcase. Like I'm actually like standing outside of you could probably not see, but it's the Fox Theater right here. Um, and somebody had that goal to have that theater. Like I can have a venue like that. I can have the Roxy or the Viper Room or Troubadour or to have that space for an artist. That's really dope for me to have that, like, to pay homage to like that artist. Um, maybe it's just because like I feel like people need opportunity. That's probably what it is. But to have that space would be really dope. For the artists.
It's a cultural thing, and we gotta have more. I wish we have more live venues. We need more live venues just around because it's a community thing. It's just a great thing. It's a great vibe. It's a platform for emerging artists to get reps in, right? Like that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah,
Most of this podcast is getting reps in, like that. That it's integral. So I think it's a great goal to have. And honestly, really do appreciate your time. I really want to have a podcast with with the band if we could. Like if we could get as many as we could get.
bro, that would be amazing. It would be amazing. I'm down for that. Like they would be stoked. Like I said, we're like a family. We're it's coming together really nicely. So to give that to them would be dope. It really would. They love it.
Yeah, I think that would just be so great to
And
great
you'll
to
see it,
hear.
man. You'll see, like, we're characters, dude. So we're fun, man. It's a really good time.
So, what are some inspirations just growing up? You talk about Motown, you talk about hip hop, you talk about grunge, you talk about what are some of your like most influential? If you had like a Mount Rushmore, who would that be? It could be on could be in anything. I'm not just saying hip hop. I'm not saying that. Who are the most influential? Top five, I say.
Damn. Okay, so I'd probably do Oasis is probably my first one, just like as the band. Like that was like the first time I saw like Noel and Liam Gallagher. Like I really like was like, damn, I want to be a rock star. Straight up, like that was just music. Like for me, like that's what I wanted to do. Um, Probably Scorsese would be like another one. Just like his movies and the writing is just incredible. Um, um, yeah, I mean, I probably just have to go back to music. So I would just do like Zeppelin, I would do Marvin Gaye, and then probably Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
What's
that's
your
like
favorite Scorsese film?
Taxi probably, or Taxi Driver, or
Hmm.
I mean, any you pick one, dude. Really, to be honest, I mean, all of them are like just crazy good. Like
For me, I love Taxi Driver. I gotta say Goodfella. That's like everybody, but Casino got a whole nother vibe.
dude,
Oh,
Casino is yeah, man. Come on, dude. Really, like that movie. I just love like an artist that like brings something that changes like the whole landscape of whatever
Hmm.
it is that they're doing, and he definitely is still doing it. Like as an old man, still like just crushing kids.
yeah,
Like
that
oh,
new
you
one,
think you're
that new
good?
ones that
Like
coming out. I've been seeing the previews. Oh, it looks so fire. It looks so.
yeah, it's
He
like
changed the game. That's Apple. That's gonna be Apple's first big like premiere
yeah,
movie, like out of theaters. So that's like still changing the game. And he like you say, he probably like close to 90 now, probably.
yeah, and just like not even like batting an eye. Just like that's just who he is. So it's beautiful to see.
Well, very dope. That was a very good like mixture of like freaking for your Mount Rushmore in a way, and it speaks to like the type of person you are. You seem like you just chill and you can like vibe with damn near anybody, damn near anybody.
For real, I really can. I mean, I don't like really mess with like just assholes, but I mean, if you're cool with me, I'm cool with you.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So, is there any other? I'm asking this because of your top five. Is there any other like medium of art that you've delved into or want to delve into?
I mean, I can like say stuff, but I don't know the artist names. Like, I like, you know,
Oh,
um,
I meant
like
like that, like in terms of like music, movie, art. Like, if there's any mediums that you would want to like
probably
go into.
photography, probably
Oh yeah, yeah,
photography,
yeah.
or film. I mean, like I like film, but like or like maybe directing or something like that. I just like film, like how you could, I don't know, just create like a whole world, like. And like
Hmm.
when it comes to photos, like just like one picture could like speak a thousand words. Like, so if you capture a moment, like it just it'll live forever. You know that's so cool because music, like you have to create it. You know, so you capture just one moment in time, and that's as good as like an album. It's just like how in the hell is that possible? But like you have to have that eye. You know, some people are just gifted with it. But that'd be cool to like I'd be really dope with that for photography.
Hmm.
Or painting. I always say I'm a good painter, but I'm not. Like, I'm not. My wife is the painter.
Hey, it's good for
Silvertone.
you though. Hey, I mean,
Silvertone,
I
where
got.
can the people find you, my friend? Where can the people find you on social
um,
media?
yeah, Instagram is the Silvertone. No S. The Silvertones. You're gonna get like a Jamaican '70s band, which is dope. They're dope, but that's definitely not us. And then on TikTok Silvertone, YouTube Silvertone, and then on Spotify, Apple Music's the Silvertone. Yeah, we got a band camp, we got everything, man. So just dig in, and we got a lot of music coming in. Um, just be patient, but it is coming. I'm not gonna like throw up all the music at once. I'm patient. So it's gonna be fed. It's gonna be fed very nice, and no one's gonna get full. Everyone's gonna eat for the rest of the year.
Corey, you still got your question. You got it.
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment. I had a question on top of that, but I was just gonna make a comment of a lot of my friends are photographers, and I just love like seeing like the world from other people's eyes, and that's the same thing with like movies and everything. And really, I mean, it's art. Like,
It is.
um, and any medium of art, that's just someone's own experience. But I'll shift over. I got one question back to Black Dynamite because when you're watching that film, and when I show people that film, I love to show people that film. But you believe that it's a movie from the '70s, like entirely, and a huge part of that is because of the music. So I got to know, like, when your group was defining that music, is what inspirations and did you guys tap into? And what was like the process like?
Well, the music was already like done. I mean, Adrian had that music in his head odd for I don't know God knows how long, but I know that it was like a very much like Curtis Mayfield like sound. Um, and yeah, so what we did was we brought it to life on the stage. Didn't necessarily really help on writing the actual music.
Hmm.
I did have some opinions on like when it was being recorded, but yeah, that was solely Adrian's baby creation, and then we just took it to that live aspect, that next level. So um, it was cool to be around that at that time. It was really nice to be around that time. Being able to just be a fly on the wall when that thing was being made is insane. A lot of good experiences. So
Good
There you
stuff.
go. Well, that's a Silvertone interview. We really appreciate your time, brother. We hope to help you have you back on the podcast soon.
thank
We'd
you,
love to
man.
have the
Yeah,
band on,
we're
and
gonna
we
have the
wish you
band.
farther success in 2023 and in the future. And we're gonna promote whatever you want us to promote, especially when the EP drops. We'll be out there like wildfire, just shooting out stories, shooting out. We'll
Let's do
repost
it,
whatever
man.
you need, man.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Honestly, like I feel like the more people listen to it and hear it, it's like the music will speak for itself. It's fat, so and it's fun. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Of
Word
course.
Silvertone. It's What's Out Media. Peace out, everybody.